Hi everyone, welcome to our webinar today. For those that don't know my face, I'm Megan Twentyman, the brand manager here at Soft Solutions. And on the line with me today, I've got Jordan, who's our technical specialist. I think Jordan's on mute. He was going to say hi.
Hey guys, welcome. Yeah, I'm Jordan. Thank you guys for coming.
Awesome. And just a quick bit of housekeeping before we get started. I've also got Will, our marketing manager, on the line running the webinar today, and he'll join us at the end for any questions that have come in. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to pop those into the questions or the chat, and we will review those at the end. So we will wrap up with that Q&A at the end as usual. This webinar is being recorded, and we will share this up onto our YouTube page as well as send that out to you in 24 hours. There's a lot of information to cover today, so it is a little bit longer than my normal bite-sized webinars, but I think it's really important information to have a look at what those top features are, because we start to take 3CX for granted after many years of using it. So just to quickly run over the agenda, I'm just going to give you, most of you know all of this, but just covering it for any new partners that we have on the line today. So we'll look at who 3CX are, what their innovations have been, and then we'll crack into those key features, where to find more resources, and how to keep up to date. And then, as I said, we will wrap up with that Q&A. So 3CX was founded back in 2005 by Nick Galea. Nick is now the Chief Technical Officer at 3CX, and Stefan Walther is the CEO. Both have been there for a very long time. Obviously, Nick's the founder. They are headquartered in Cyprus. They have 12 global offices for 3CX. They cover with their products across 190 countries, 12 million users, and 600,000 businesses, and that number continues to grow. When they founded the company, the original goal was to provide a UC solution that was robust, secure, and affordable, because back in the day, so we're talking quite some years ago now, it wasn't that way. So as you know, version 18 was launched in 2021, so there has been huge and constant innovation for all this time. Soft Solutions has been selling 3CX for just over 10 years, so we've been there right from the get-go. So 3CX have been a leader in the UC space. They have been the first at a number of things, and I just wanted to recap some of those innovations, because if, like me, you've been using 3CX for 10 years, we kind of take these things for granted. So, you know, they were the first with that software-based open standards, IPPBX. They launched their WebRTC gateway, which is what we still use the meeting features with today. They were the first to include integrated softphones, no additional hidden costs. And as I said, the web conferencing. They've also were the first to bring the website live chat into fruition, and that's a feature that is growing and going from strength to strength. One of the key things I really love about 3CX as a company is how agile they are and how they continue to move and evolve in the UC space and think beyond what we would traditionally think of as a phone system. This is very much that unified communications solution. So why 3CX? The solution's flexible. It's available on-prem in the private cloud. We now have 3CX hosted for New Zealand, which will fit for some of our partners and not for others. But that option is available, and you get the first year free. It's an easy, low-cost annual subscription pricing model. And for those that have been on this journey with us for a while, you'll know that we're going through that process of trading in perpetual licenses to move to the modern annual subscription pricing model. You can use your existing hardware and lines, assuming that they're compatible with 3CX, of course. So there are a few caveats there, but you can use existing technology in organizations. Live chat and video conferencing is included with every license, even from their free standard for simultaneous call. All the apps, and we'll talk about those in a bit more detail, and key integrations with Microsoft 365, including Microsoft Teams, and that's a big feature that was new in version 18, and with CRM systems so that you can be effective with your phone system. So these are the key features that we're going to drill into a little bit more today. So I'll run through the licensing model, the Softphone and all the apps that are available, the call center functionality, the video, chat and messaging, Microsoft Teams, CRM, and the hotel PBX, which is sometimes forgotten, but is included free with the Pro and Enterprise licenses. So let's start drilling in a little bit more on these key features and look at the licensing model. Don't underestimate that power of the simultaneous call. That model of licensing is unique to 3CX and something that has served 3CX really well. Means that you don't need a huge license despite the number of people that you have. It's about what the company's calling model is. So some companies have lots of calls, lots of people on hold, so yes, they need a big license, but other companies don't have that and they don't use a lot of internal calling. So it gives flexibility. It's also scalable. So if you don't get it quite right at the beginning, you can scale up. Not so easy to scale back down. So you're better to be cautious than to overestimate the requirements of a license. But with that prorated licensing upgrades mid-term through your annual subscription, makes it really easy, and our team are available to help with that. Things to consider. Becoming an MSP. This is how a lot of our 3CX partners work with 3CX now, and they create bundles and they bundle everything in. So you can see the key things there, which is your license, your hosting, your SIP services, your calling plan, hardware, so SIP phones, SBC devices, partner support and services, because don't undervalue your expertise and your time. And they bill it out monthly. Kind of general rule of thumb is the 3CX license cost is covered in that first 3 months, and then you've just got the little upgrades and updates that you need to keep everybody's systems up to date through the 12 months. If it's installed and configured correctly from the outset, you don't generally have any problems. And as you know, we're really hot on running those technical trainings each quarter to ensure that your team know how to install to best practice. But that licensing model and the way that it works is a unique selling point and something that we focus in on when we're talking about 3CX. Softphone. So the Softphone has evolved over the years. It's been bundled in with 3CX right from the get-go. So a lot of you will be familiar with the old Softphone. That still actually works with version 18. I still have that installed on my machine, but I tend to use the desktop app as my go-to app now, which was new with version 18. Or the web client, which I've been using since version 16. So up on the right, you see the that's actually an image of the web client, but the desktop app, it looks the same and it acts the same. So it means that it's really easy and familiar between the two options. We have the new progressive web app. So that is very recent in update 3, and there's more details in all the launch information around update 3 around that, but reach out if you need more information. The other one not to be underestimated is the mobile apps for both iOS and Android. These develop really quickly. We are constantly in beta of the next version and bringing more and more of the 3CX features onto your mobile app. And that's really important because, as we all know, the world and the way that the workforce works has all changed. We're much more mobile, much more hybrid. Work from home is normal. You know, as Aucklanders, we're pretty excited to actually be spending more time back in our offices and getting together with our team. But we need to be flexible for how our team want to work post-pandemic or towards the end of the pandemic. We're not out of there yet. So really important that that Softphone is a key selling point for you when talking with customers. The call center functionality. Now this covers, you know, just basics that we take for granted, which is like your call queues and your ring groups and your call recording, those types of things. But it also moves all the way up into that call center functionality, being able to have the wallboard that you can see up there on the right, or the switchboard, which is on the left of those two images there as well. Hot desking. That's obviously a key thing these days. A lot of people have chosen to downsize their business. Some key things there with call recording. This is only available in the Pro and Enterprise solutions. In both options, you have at an extension level, the ability to set all on, all off, or external only. Only when you get to the enterprise solution can it be controlled at the agent level, and that's allowing people to take recordings of key pieces of information. So that's something to consider when sizing up a licensing opportunity between Pro and Enterprise. The other one that is only available in the Enterprise edition is our skill-based routing. Now, this feature came in with version 16. It had been asked for many, many years, and this is where you can assign your agents different skill levels so that the calls are assigned and customers get the best service that they can possibly get straight off the bat. So that's with your call queues. You've got things like click to call, click to meet. You can add those into email signatures so that people can get hold of you really, really quickly. So all really important features. And a lot of those things, again, we just take them for granted. Even things like call reporting, being able to analyze what's happening with our calls. So we need to, when we're talking to our customers, drill in a little bit on what their pain points are with their current systems and say how 3CX can fix those. Video. This has obviously been a huge thing during the global pandemic. It used to be called web meeting. It's now just called 3CX meeting. It's WebRTC based. You get a maximum number of participants per license. So your standard license only has 25, Pro, you go up to 100 participants, and Enterprise 250. And that can be multiple meetings, but that's your maximum cap. During the pandemic, they even doubled those for our customers. So, you know, they were very flexible and very helpful. There's no downloads required. You just click the link that you are sent and you log in, or with the Pro Enterprise, you can even just dial in for the audio only options as well. There's all sorts of things when you're creating and scheduling meetings. You can create webinars. Then when you're running a webinar such as this, if you were doing it on 3CX meeting, you could create polls. You could use the interactive whiteboard that you can see down there where everybody can collaborate together. You've got screen and PDF sharing, remote desktop options, and you can record the meetings and share that recording with the participants as well. Just best practice when you're talking about recording is that you should let people know that you are recording that event. Chat and messaging. This is a huge growth area for 3CX. So any of you that have visited the 3CX website have experienced the chat function. If you go into your partner portal, you experience the chat function because it's like that top image there. It's sitting down on the right-hand side, and that's how you can talk to them. I was on a conference call to Yomaz the other day, and his system froze, but he wanted to share a link with me, and he just flicked me a text and said, "Oh, just dial into your distributor portal, send me a message," and he could just flick me back that link without us having to reconnect. His system decided to do some Windows updates. Don't you love that? So one interface for all your chat functions. So that's chatting internally with your colleagues. It can be live chat from your website, can be Facebook Messenger chats coming in, and even SMS messages. Now, there's no New Zealand providers for SMS yet, but we're hopeful that that will change very, very soon. Live chat, WordPress is the most common plugin, but it also covers the other popular solutions, or you can do a custom installation. If you enable it at the extension level and enable the live chat, you can even elevate those live chats to a call with the same agent. So an agent can be going back and forth typing with a customer, and it becomes clear that there's some miscommunication going on. They can actually choose to elevate that to a call for the customer. It's a WebRTC call, so there's no cost to them. And for the agent, they can continue that conversation and make sure that nothing's getting lost in translation. There's chat queues so that you can have multiple team members working on chats together. And then there's also the reporting, so chat reportings and chat ratings and those types of things. I personally agree with 3CX. I think chat is going to be a huge, huge feature moving forward because we have a generation coming out of the school system, coming out of the university system that are used to using text messaging and all those types of things rather than picking up a phone and having a conversation, which again talks about this unified communication solution as opposed to just a phone system, because 3CX is far from just a phone system. I personally, with my kids, have forced them to make phone calls so that they actually get used to doing that. But I do believe that new generations, we will work differently, and chat will be a huge part of that. Microsoft Teams integration. So Teams integration was new in version 18. I do remember back to version 16 when the question was raised and the answer was no, they weren't going to integrate with Microsoft Teams. But 3CX went and talked to Microsoft. They've evolved their 365 integration, and what they've been able to provide with the integration with Microsoft Teams is to leverage the power of 3CX as a full communication system, to use the call queues, to use all of that reporting and the ring groups and the IVRs to make Teams effectively an agent for the 3CX. So people within an organization, you might have most using 3CX and a few that are using Teams. Obviously, this feature is only available in the Enterprise Edition, and it does require the appropriate licensing from Microsoft. So it's an E5 license or a Teams phone system plan license. You use your normal SIP providing and your calling plan through your 3CX, but it does enable that kind of meshing of the two technologies. And as we all know, Microsoft Teams became incredibly popular during the pandemic. It really grew, and the product is evolving, but 3CX gives it all that additional power that it doesn't have. So we have some great utilities in the marketing kit that looks at that functionality and how 3CX enhances your Microsoft Teams experience. CRM integrations, knowing who's calling is really, really helpful. We've got this integration with our own Zoho CRM system. So what I know is I know what organisation's calling me. I don't specifically always know the person within the organisation because the caller ID is matching back to their main number, but I kind of know who it is. You can help you with screening calls as well, but it just makes you more effective. You can also enable things like call journaling and chat logging, and there are some 3CX developed and maintained integrations. And there's guides for each of those, and I'm not going to go through them all. And then there's vendor supported options, where the vendor is keeping them up to date with working with 3CX. And then there's the API for CRM integrations for ones that haven't been done before, so you can do it yourself using the guide that is available. So really, really powerful when you're talking to an organisation, no matter how big or small they are. CRM integrations become, and CRM interactions for recording what has and hasn't happened can become incredibly powerful. The hotel PBX. So for anybody that's been on this journey for a long time, that used to be sold as a separate piece. Many versions ago now, it got integrated into the main solution, available in Pro and Enterprise. It integrates with some of the hotel management software solutions, and it can enable things like the check-in and out of guests, setting up the extensions in the room to match the guest name, helps with billing of any external calls if they use it. Don't know the last time I made a call from a hotel using that function. I would use my cell phone, but I certainly use that phone in the room to order room service and those types of things. You can schedule your wake-up calls, all those kind of things. One thing, if you're talking with a hotel or motel or motor lodge or anything like that to consider, is they probably don't need a really large license, even though they might have a really big room count, because it's really about internal calling. So think about their staff calling within the organisation. Think about if all their guests were to schedule a wake-up call at the same time. So we've had this situation arise quite some years ago, where the hotel was happily truckling along with a 16 simultaneous call license until one day they had a big tour group in, and this is obviously pre-pandemic, so quite some time ago, and everybody scheduled their wake-up call for exactly the same time. So the first 16 calls went through, but the others didn't. So there's things that you can do where you can slightly adjust those wake-up calls and that kind of stuff so that you don't have to have a really large license, but it's about thinking about what is the most likely scenario and making sure you have a license of the appropriate size for your everyday needs. So just kind of taking some of those features and looking at how you actually start scoping an opportunity for a 3CX system. One of the key things here is why. You know, why does that customer want or need a new system? So we do still have copper wiring being turned off around New Zealand. Most of it's off, but it is still happening. The key here from your perspective is to listen. You'll pick up on all sorts of things that they don't even know they could do with a unified communications solution, but also just how they can be more efficient. How does their existing system work? Is it one site, multiple sites? Are there different time zones? Do you need multiple instances that are bridged together? Do you just need one license with SBCs at different physical locations for their hardware? That starts to give you a bit of a mix of what's happening there. What are the customer's pain points? These are where you want to drill in on those top features that we've just covered with 3CX. So what is their pain point? How can 3CX fix that? Have they even thought about this? Did they know a unified communications solution can deliver these things for them? You know, as I say, they might even not know that, you know, chat and video and all the integrations for CRM and those types of things are available within the solution. And when you're scoping an opportunity, this is saying that one of my colleagues said to me right at the beginning of my VoIP journey nearly 5 years ago, and his words were, 80% of all you're doing is planning. 20% is the actual doing of the deployment. So if you plan well, you will not face too many issues. Always the odd thing, but you get good. Resources. So we covered the marketing kit in my March webinar. There's some excellent resources in there. There's a whole lot of help about scoping opportunities, thinking about things, taking it all the way through to the quote and that type of stuff. And we'll probably drill into that a little bit more on a future webinar. But don't not use that marketing kit. It is there, it is available from the downloads option in your partner portal. The 3CX website continues to update and evolve. So if you've been there recently, you will have seen they've changed the way that all their menus work. Took me a couple of days to figure it all out, but it's all still there. You just need to find the right information. There's great information on the sales pages. You've got the configuration guides, and you know, sometimes you just need to ticky tour around and find the right piece of information, but we're here to help with that. We're here to help you. Soft Solutions invest a lot of time and people into the 3CX solution and the accompanying hardware. So whether that's headsets or handsets or anything like that, attend these webinars. So Soft Solutions runs monthly webinars, as do Yilmaz and Sebastian from 3CX. So make sure you're attending those, getting the most up-to-date information, hearing the news directly from us so that we can ensure you're kept up to date. Obviously, there are things like our monthly VoIP newsletter, there are our weekly newsletters, and if there was something super urgent, we'd send out a special newsletter. So make sure you're subscribed. If you're not, reach out to me. I'll make sure we get you added. Technical trainings are run once per quarter for each one. We've already run the basic one in April, and I'm sorry to say that May and June are fully subscribed and actually oversold. But I run a expression of interest sheet. Just get in touch. I'll pop you on there. I'll let you know as soon as we set the Q3 dates and when those bookings are open so that you can book your team members in. We are constantly running these trainings and getting everybody upskilled around best practice. As I mentioned, keep tuned to our newsletters. If you haven't already joined our LinkedIn Soft Solutions VoIP community group, please do so. That is where I post everything first, unless something goes wrong and somebody's off sick and our blog hasn't been updated with the latest VoIP monthly newsletter. So if you haven't seen that from last week, do reach out to me and I can flick you a copy, but I will post that up into the community group shortly. And that brings me to the end. I know it's a little bit longer than our normal webinars, but we will open the floor for the Q&A. And if there are any questions there, feel free to pop those into the questions or the chat, and Will's going to unmute himself and let us know if there's any questions that Jordan and I can help you with. So yeah, feel free to pop those in.
No,
we got anything there, Will?
So far. No tricky questions.
That's what I like.
Far away, guys, far away.
If there's no tricky questions, it means they're either overwhelmed by all the information I've just imparted on them in the last 30 minutes, or I've done my job and actually covered a lot of that detail. So hopefully I've done my job and covered a lot of that detail, but we are here to help, and you can reach out to us at any time. If you're not even sure who you need to talk to in our VoIP team, just send something to voip@softsole.co.nz. At the bottom there on the end of my slide, because that gets to all of us, and we will make sure that those are attended to and resolved. If you need any support assistance, VoIP support at softsole.co.nz gets through to our senior VoIP engineer as well. So we certainly have the people and the resources to make sure that you're successful. Any questions there, Will?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, well, excellent. Happy is good. So that leaves me just literally to say thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We do appreciate your attendance. We will share the video back to you within 24 hours, and it will be uploaded onto our YouTube page. And make sure you stay tuned to those newsletters, and you'll hear about next month's webinar once I set the topic and the date, and we look forward to you joining us then. If this has brought up any questions that you want to take offline, please feel free to reach out to me directly or any of the team. We're here to help. I don't promise to know all the answers, but I do promise to find out the answers for you. So thank you, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone.